As I was thinking about this, I thought about one of my favourite Woody Allen films, which is called Deconstructing Harry. And in this film, Harry is a successful writer, and he is being invited to his old college, his alma mater, to receive an award. And on his way there, he has all kinds of meetings with people who are in his books, and he ends up with most of them in the back of his car, and one of them ends up dead when they get there, and they don't realise it. But he gets to the college and he realises it's all gone wrong, and it's all not good, and he's very unhappy. And then when finally they have this ceremony, all the college are his old friends. They're all the people from his books, all the characters he's created, all the people, and they're there, and that is his sort of reward, and that's what I thought tonight was a bit like looking at you. Okay. So that film was a sort of a road trip, and my life is a bit of a road trip really. My dad was in the RAF, and we moved around the country and abroad to the Persian Gulf every few years. And my dad used to do two things when he arrived in a new town. He looked for a gin palace and a probation officer. No, I'm only joking. He looked for a Methodist church and a scout group. And every town we went to, waiting for me, he'd found a scout group and a Methodist church. And I was a member of lots of Methodist churches and scout groups. And his last posting was in Chessington, where John and my good friends over here are from, and Chessington Methodist Church. And it was while I was there that Mum and Dad ran away from home. There it was on the mirror, goodbye son, we've gone, okay? And they left me in Chessington and went off to live in Devon. And so I was there, and I became a scout leader, and I was a scout leader at 18. And at 20, I got my first leader warrant, and at 22, I got my full wood badge, okay? I was the youngest district commissioner that never happened, okay? And I was scout leader of 2nd Chessington for 10 years. And after 10, I didn't realise it the other day, after 10 years, I got a bit bored, and there were a group of kids who sat on the wall of the pub opposite the church. And I thought, why aren't they doing it? Why can't I do stuff with them? So I gave up scouting for a bit, and I said to the church, could I start a youth club? And they said, yeah, we've got lots of kids in the church. John Howarth over there was one of them. And stand up, John. Stand up, John. Yeah. Sit down. And there were the church youngsters, and there were these kids on the wall. And we started the club, and the kids sitting on the wall getting drunk never came. And then one night, the doors burst open, and they came in. And they came in with their tattoos and their ugly faces, and that was just the girls. And they came in, and it was like oil and water. You could mix them together, but they were like one group. We called it Open Fellowship, and the idea was anyone could come, and these yobs came, and what they couldn't steal, they broke in the church. But it was an amazing church at Chessington, and he stuck by me, and we kept the group going. And I just tell you the story that the only thing I knew what to do was scouting. I didn't know anything else, so I took them on night hikes and things. And I had a minibus, would you believe it? I had this dormobile, and one day I took them on a night hike to Box Hill. Where else do you go? A night hike to Box Hill. And all these guys were sitting in the back, and at 2 a.m, the police flagged us down. I thought, oh my God, the police station is just round the corner. And the police opened the back doors, and there were these lads sitting there with their Chelsea scarves and their woolies and their tattooed necks. And the police said, "Oh, we got here," and they said, "We're the Methodists." and the police said, "Oh, we got the Methodists here, and what are you doing?" And every one of them pulled out this little yellow card that I had printed, and it said, Chessington Methodist Church, Open Fellowship, Seeking Jesus. And the police said, "What are you doing here?" And I mean, 2 o'clock in the morning in Dorking, And they said, "We're seeking Jesus." and the police said, "Well, we better let you go then." I couldn't believe I was shaking as I started the minibus, and we started getting down the road, going towards Leatherhead, and they said, "Cool, that was close." And I said, "No, you're with me. You're with Jesus." They said, "No, but we all got big knives." I said, "What have you got?" They said, "You don't go wandering around the woods at night without a big knife." And that was them. And then after a few years there, I then decided the church said to me, "Look, you can't go on doing this." And I said, "Well, I want to give up work. I want to be like a street pastor. I want to live on the street." Lord, and they said, "No." The local curate, Reverend Terry Henderson, said to me, "No, you can't do this. You've got to get trained. If you do anything in life, you've got to get trained." All right, you're listening to me, okay, Rebecca? Get trained, all right, okay, Angela? Get trained, all right, Melissa? Get trained, all right? Don't just think you can do stuff. So I went off to Cliff College, a Methodist Bible college in Sheffield, and the church paid for me to go. I'm a bit suspicious about that, John. Why did they pay to get rid of me? I'm not sure. But then I went to Cliff College, and I wanted 4 O-levels to be a vicar. I wanted to be a vicar, and I only got 3. So I got sent to Bermondsey. I got sent to Decimal Street, ladies. We got the Decimal Street crowd there from the surgery. Okay, and that's where I lived, in Decimal Street. And the Methodist Church paid me £12 a week to work at Manor Methodist Church as a pastoral sort of worker, to work with families and things, and to get people to go to church. And I worked there for 2 years doing this, and I worked there, and then after 2 years of working at Manor Church as this pastoral worker, the job came to an end, and I remember standing on Tower Bridge. I wasn't going to jump off of it, but I was standing on Tower Bridge, and I was thinking, God, I failed. I haven't got anyone to go to church. But I'd been involved as the rural estate was being built, helping people with their tax and their gas and electricity problem, old people being thrown out, all that kind of stuff. But I haven't got anyone. I've been to juvenile court, and when I was at Chessington with this group, I got taken to the VD clinic, and I got taken to the abortion clinic, and I think yeah, you've been there, Jerry, yeah. I think they thought I was their dad, you know. So I was getting dragged down all these sort of social ways, and in the end, I decided that I needed a job, and the church didn't want me, but I got a council flat on Amina Way, and I then went for a job. And I thought, what can I do in Bermondsey? So I was going to be a Meals on Wheels van driver. And so I went for an interview at Castle House, at Elephant Castle, and I got interviewed as a Meals. I wondered how many kids you could take to camp in the back of a Meals on Wheels van. You know, it seemed obvious to me. What do you do with them at weekends, you know? But anyway, they contacted me that night and said, "Mr. Landon, you've got the job." I said, "How much is it?" They said, £120 a week. I thought, a zero on the end of the £12 a week. I'm in money. And they said, "But we've got another job for you." I said, "What's that?" They said, "We think you'd rather could you come and interview for a day centre manager?" And I said, "Oh, well, all right." So I went and interviewed as a day centre. The next day, I hadn't even done any work as a Meals van driver. So I interviewed, and they said to me, I said, "How much is the money?" And they told me. I went, "Oh, really?" And they said, "You've got the job." And the next day, someone phoned me to say, "We think we got another job for you." And I've been promoted like 3 times. And they said, "Would you be a social worker?" And I said, "What's a social worker? I've never seen a social worker." They said, "Oh, you'll love it. It's what you do." And I said, and I sat there, and they told me how much money. And this is the truth. This is the truth. I said to them, "Is that a month?" They said, "No, a week." I was going, oh! I was in the like zeros were coming up, and I said, "Oh, I'll be a social worker." So I was a social worker in Bermondsey, and then I went to Kingston University, and I got trained in the end, and then I was a social worker in Waterloo for about 20 years, I think, something like that, you know. And I was like visiting old folk and doing that kind of thing. But at Manor Church, that just before I went to social work, the minister said, "Eddie, have you ever done scouting?" And I said, Oh, not really. Lying toe. They said, and there's a guy called Skip Nation. There's a picture of him at the back there. Skip Nation is very old. He was over 65, would you believe it? Nearly 70, and he was taking the scouts to camp on his own. Gerard, and these various crowds sitting here, and David Curley there, all right? And, yes, Curley. He used to have the biggest afro in Birmingham. Stand up, Curley, stand up. Show me the biggest afro. And Gary was this little squibbly little kid here. Anyway, this bunch of kids, he was taken to camp. He said, would you go with him? I said, well, I don't know. But we went to camp, and I met the most amazing bunch of guys I'd ever met then and now. And they were about 12 years old. There's a picture of you back there. And we had what was called the longest breakfast. We sat there, Skip and me, with them, having breakfast one sunny morning, and I just thought, this is what scouting is about. It's like a family. You're a family having breakfast together. It was really great. It was good. And I've known him ever since. So I stayed helping the 16th, and that's how sort of life went on, really. And then, as a local preacher, I was working in Manor Methodist Church, and I was a social worker. And one day I was going off to preach at Crystal Palace. And driving the minibus up the hill, having dropped the scouts off at Biggin Hill for a hike, I met this young blonde lady hitching a lift. And I said, I'd like to come for a ride in my minibus. And she said that she liked to see my backside in those tight scout trousers. Is that true?
At the time, I didn't say that at the time.
Second down.
And so I found what I've been looking for. Someone to look after the scout camp stores. and so did that. Faithfully year after year, looking after the stores for me and looking after me. And then scouting got complicated and it went computerized. And I prayed to God to send me a computer technician. And in the shortness of time, where's Josh? Where is he? I was granted the gift by God of a computer technician and someone to look after me. And the three of us have together discovered rivers in France, hills in Italy, Southwark Cathedral, second Southwark Scouts. Where is Veronica anyway? She's not here. Hey, Veronica! Second Southwark Scouts. And some great neighbours in Stratford Street. Hey. And Deptford Mission, stand up, where is he? Where's the Deptford? It's the Deptford Mission, okay. And SOS Coffee, can't tell you more about SOS Coffee. And lots, and good neighbours. So look, thank you, that's why you're all here. You're all there. You've all helped me in one way or another. And I don't know, maybe I've helped you, maybe I've made your lives a bit of a pain.
Wait.
But thank you. So that's how it all comes together.